maybe you won't be. Liberals, this is an example, liberals. Of course, this was an example by a US source. So liberals tend to read liberal newspapers and conservatives tend to read conservative newspapers. Let's break it down. There's two parties here in Jamaica, two prominent parties, and they're probably radio stations that really cater for both, that are strong on one side. And the truth is, Laborites will listen to radio stations that promote and support them, as well as the PMP will do the same. And so when both persons come to argue, they're not coming to argue from the viewpoints of I listened to over there and I listened over here as well, and I'm examining the facts and this is where I am. No, both persons are deciding, you know what? I only see it orange and the next person only sees it as green. And it's not because they are forced to, it's because they chose to. Another symptom, primacy effects. Primacy effects. Primacy effects. Now, Auntie Susie, you mentioned something earlier about plagiarism and how victims or the defendant who has been, who is alleged to have done so, you have to kind of maintain an open mind as this is investigated, as this trial goes on. This is basically saying, oh, I think it's, one second. I'm gonna unmute, give me 1 second, yes. Yes, there was something not being seen on the screen and I just wanted to clear that up. When we look at this diagram here, we see that a person is presented with some evidence, right? Someone is presented with some evidence. Chances of remembering, right? That's what's happening on our x-axis, and what's happening on our y-axis is the position in the last, which means this is the evidence that is presented to me. I'm thinking about it, and when it gets to the last, when it gets to the verdict, this is what I will remember. What the note here says, the evidence that comes first, because this is something that lawyers have seen in court many times. He said the evidence that comes first matters more than the evidence presented later. The evidence that comes first matters more than the evidence that comes later. Which means normally the alleged come with the first set of evidence. And if the defendant, if the person who is trying to say, no, I didn't do it, presents evidence, if what was presented first seemed even more compelling or remotely close to, hey, that's guilty or innocent, then that's what will stand. And it says his trial lawyers are very aware of this phenomenon. Once jurors form a belief, that belief becomes resistant to counter evidence, which is why a lot of cases tend to take so long to begin, because both parties need enough time to have enough evidence to present to the court at the same time. Why? Because jurors need a balance of statements being made. Without that balance, chances are the first thing that was said is the last thing they will remember, or how they view you based on that first day. You know, first impressions last type of thing. Sometimes you meet somebody a day where they were just really having a bad day, and that's not them. That's not them. But because that's what you gathered from the first day, you measure them that way from then on. I mean, some persons, yes, that might be so. But a lot of persons may have suffered because you met them at that wrong minute. They were just going off about something that they just could not find it in themselves to come to be composed about. But basically, the primacy effect is another symptom of my side bias. Polarization. Polarization is the third symptom. But we're going to get medication for this. We just need to know what the issues are. We're looking at a scale, and on that scale, there are balanced arguments. Yes? One side says the sugar in sweets damages teeth and can, I think they forgot to put, cause health problems. On the other side of the scale, sweets provide us with energy to be active. Polarization. We tend to be less critical of evidence that supports our beliefs. Now, I'm not asking if that is true. I know that is true because I learned that in church and I adapted the same style. I adapted it as well. Had it not been for Jesus Christ and more information, I would not be able to think further. So, we tend to be less critical of evidence that supports our beliefs than evidence that runs counter to our beliefs. Anything that seems like it's going to counteract what we know already, kick up start very early. Not even to entertain the thoughts. In an interesting experiment that demonstrates this phenomenon, Anchor, researchers presented individuals with mixed evidence on the effectiveness of punishment of capital punishment on reducing crime. Mixed evidence means that for both arguments, yeah, to be for it and to be against it, both of them have enough evidence to say why both things can be viable. Random people, even though the evidence on both sides of the issue were perfectly balanced, individuals became stronger in their initial position for or against capital punishment in this particular thing. They rated the evidence that supported their initial beliefs as more convincing. I know what it says below. And they found more issues easily. They easily found more issues in the counter argument, in the position that they would not have taken first. So what does that mean? It means that we were presented with both arguments. We say, you know what? I think that if criminals were punished by death, that is a good thing because of reasons listed, X, Y, and Z. And also, I've been presented with enough evidence balancing the argument saying, you know, I think it's not wise to punish by death or, you know, hitting or something of some abusive nature because of so and so, reasons X, Y, and Z. And though they are perfectly balanced, without it being asked with which position they had at first, they chose the positions that they did have at first. So whether they were for it, they came into the room, you know, say, yeah man, them criminals left it dead. No man, they should have mercy on them. They shouldn't have to kill them. They can be rehabilitated. With both balanced evidence, no one came out saying, boy, I don't know what to choose. Or you know what? I actually I actually am convinced now that they need to die. Or somebody came out convinced now that you know what, they can be rehabilitated. No, persons pull to where they stood at first. Yes? And that was just another symptom. I'm not saying that we're like that. I'm not saying that if we're like that, that we have to stay like that. We're just calling out the symptoms. Let's list some benefits now. Benefits of being open-minded. Benefits. Benefits of being open-minded. Well, it's the benefits. I. Here we go. Not easily swayed. Not easily swayed. I think parents in this in on this Zoom meeting right now, or anyone watching by via any way, whether YouTube, whatever, however it's being streamed or when it's streamed, you would love for your child to not easily be swayed. You are hoping that what you have taught them is what they will stand by because you have found some safety in it, and chances are you're saying, if they walk this direction, I know they are safe. Whether I'm aware of it or not, as long as I know that they have taken this direction and that they stand on the same positions that I do on certain matters, whether it be religiously or politically, you know that they're going to be safe in your mind. That's what you're hoping. But open-minded individuals become cognitively complex individuals, which means that their mind is going off a little bit more than the simple. I mean, Solomon asks us to be prudent, to be wise. How does one be wise? One needs information because knowledge is what leads to wisdom. What I found the other day, you see, and this is just coming up, this is not even stated. Wisdom, I used to say it like this. Oh, wisdom is the application of knowledge, which means what you just do it. No, or let's add to it. God gave me the revelation and he said, wisdom is really to take the information given and do the right thing with it. All the information and do the right thing with it. If it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, it means that take the information presented to you about who I am, and the moment you decide to put that into true practice, you are now being wise. Wisdom, to use knowledge properly, to take the advice and not be a fool. These individuals are less swayed by singular events, which mean things that happen out of the moment, and they are more resistant to suggestions and manipulation. You know, Eve had one piece of information to begin with in the garden. I'm not saying that she was at a disadvantage. I'm just saying that we are given the same test today, but we still look back to blame Eve for what happened in the garden. And we have more information. So, presenting more information to them from both sides can really help in them holding a strong position in the end. Another benefit, let's go into 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Here we go. This is the second benefit. I really hope you're taking notes. The second benefit here is open-minded individuals are better able to predict how others will behave and are less prone to projection. Stephen Hawking, honestly, though he's an atheist, says my expectations were reduced to zero when I was 21. Everything since then has been a bonus, which means that what he sees from people is what he had already expected. Anything outside of the norm is what he considers a bonus. Now, when we look in certain societies, we look in certain sectors, we look in certain groups, we are already, even by preconceived notions, we already decide how they will behave. We already decide their position on certain matters. Open-minded individuals are better able to predict that. Why? Because they have more information about how someone can behave about a particular thing. You know? There's one more actually. Open-minded individuals tend to score better. That's what they say. I don't know about it, but I actually believe in it. On the general cognitive ability, like SAT scores, CXC, your exams, because when presented with what we call a common sense question, it's difficult to answer it because that wasn't so common to you. And so I grew up struggling with the term common sense, especially in an environment that I wasn't exposed to at first, where you made a wrong move and them say, but common sense would I tell you, say, but it wasn't common to you, and they hold you victim and they slander you because you made a mistake in an environment that you had no knowledge about. It was not common to you. But an open-minded individual can have information become common to them. Also, an open-minded individual would realize that probably that person has not been exposed to this type of information, and so as to extend some level of leniency. Pause for a cause. Any questions? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, no questions. I can move on. Oh, that's disappointing, but let's move on. I hope you're learning. What encourages our open-mindedness? Let's ask ourselves questions like these. I'm putting out a question. What encourages our open-mindedness? Because maybe what I have written down here, you might be able to share something better that will blow my mind. What encourages, what pushes our open-mindedness? What causes us to be more open-minded? You know, separate and apart from the experience that you may have shared earlier. What encourages open-mindedness? That's a question.
Interactions with other persons from different beliefs or different
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Go ahead. Excellent answer. You were finished? I was just praising him while you were talking. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I think so.
Okay. Anybody else? Hello.
Reading and watching movies.
Glory to God. Look at that. Reading and watching movies. I didn't even think of that. Research suggests that people are more likely to be open-minded when they are not under time pressure or any pressure at all. You know? Individuals are more likely to be open-minded when they believe they are making an important decision. It's another one. I want to use some biblical examples because everyone in here, I think that there are very intelligent people here, persons that not just in terms of book and pencil and paper, but the fact that God has opened up their minds to be able to discern and understand what He's saying, and to be able to rightly divide and understand and do exactly what He's requiring of us. And so I decided to use, as He gave me inspiration, some individuals that we are familiar with, right? Noah's open mind. Now we're talking about faith, but really and truly, they had enough faith to open their mind, because the faith that a lot of us have today is the faith that says, I have enough faith to hope for something that I've seen Him do already, that I've heard someone testify of. Now, maybe this is not as big as somebody has, had a breakthrough for before. But now we realize that it can take a lot more than that. Or it might even just be less, to just have an open mind, to say maybe something is possible. Noah's open mind caused him to believe God when He said to build an ark in preparation for a flood. Though no ship has ever sailed, neither had there been rain. Now remember, one of the things that they were mocking him of is that there were no waters to put this. Nobody has ever gone and watered that way before. And that rain had never fallen. So how are you referring to a flood? But he believed God to have an open mind. Let's talk about the knife is right at his throat. Let's talk about Abraham. Abraham's open mind caused him to leave everything. Everything. Family, friends, resources, to seek after a promise from God with no recorded evidence of anyone taking such a risk before. We're talking about the Bible. Who before him took on that type of risk? Where He said, leave everything. No, everybody brings somebody go somewhere before this. Somebody go somewhere before this. But all of a sudden, God asked one man, you hear what? I'm doing something new, and I want to do it with you. If your mind is open enough, come follow me. Seek after me at a place that I will show you as you go along. Oh my gosh. Abraham did that. Let's talk about somebody else. This might raise some controversy. Moses' open mind illustrated a series of events where he obeyed God blindly against the odds. One of which was when he made the brass snake symbol on the staff, so that who looked at it and believed would be healed. Let me say, they would be healed from the plague of snakes. Now look at this. However, this is significant because any graven image made and given such power was deemed idolatry. So after the calf was destroyed, after Moses came down, saw the calf, and how he reacted to the children of Israel, that may have conflicted, because right now they're experiencing irony. You came down, you saw a calf, you had it destroyed, you were upset. You said we were doing idol worship. Now you're asking us, you're saying that your God said to look up on a brass snake for healing. That just don't make any sense. But he had enough faith to have an open mind concerning it. And he did this weird thing that God had asked him to do. Not even knowing that this is an initial symbol for Christ to come, that he also would be risen above the earth and put upon a cross, and that whosoever believed in him would not perish but have everlasting life. You need another example. I feel it. I feel the energy from you. You're not convinced. Let's look at Eli. Eli, though he had his faults as a priest, entertained the thought that for the first time, a new king, a new prophet, what do you call him? A new priest could hear from God at such a young age. And when he came to him, he was able to say, you know what? When you hear the voice again, say, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. When this had never been done before. Never has it happened so young. And Eli had an open mind enough to know, hey, something can go so. God can actually be calling this young man from now. Let it be. I'll advise you as to how to answer. Well, you're not convinced. I understand. Let's look at Job. Now, I love this example. You know I love this example? Because his friends really made it more difficult for him to go through this sour experience. Job experienced a paradigm shift type of dilemma, mean a complete turn of what seemed to be the thing that God would do before. Where his faithfulness to God had resulted in a trial from God through Satan of an unmatched magnitude recorded to this day. Job lost everything he had, his family, his wealth, his assets, and his health, but found peace in saying, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. In the heat of all the bad news, Job immediately found solace in uttering the words, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Job found it in himself to worship, fell on his knees. No, that wasn't bad enough. His friends accused him of sin as to justify why he was being punished so severely. This seemed reasonable because never had it been recorded before God punishing or testing the good and faithful. This never happened before. His friends were people of God also. Yeah. They thought they were making a right judgment because as far as they have been exposed and to as much information as they had been exposed, this can only happen to the wicked. This can only happen to the sinful. Yeah? Job, however, with his relationship with God, his mind was open enough to realize that God was responsible for everything he was facing. So too that he was able to make a revelation. There's a hand up. I'm going to take that hand. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just want to contribute a little bit here.
Go ahead.
What encourage open-minded? Also, I'm looking at um, looking around and examine your condition that you are in, wanting to improve your standard of living, knowing that it is achievable and it is attainable. That will allow you to go beyond what you have been told that no one in the family has ever
Wow.
gone to university. No one in the family has ever gone to university. No one in the
Wow.
family has ever reached this far.
Yeah.
Seeing that you were born in a family of seven or five, and when you evaluate the family structure,
Yeah.
something within you propel you,
Yeah.
something within you encourage you that I want to lift myself and my family out of this.
Yeah.
And so therefore you will stop at nothing to be successful.
Yeah.
So that will drive you, your momentum. If it
Yes.
if you are the only one in the family who's going to make it, to change the family low esteem, to change the family struggling,
Yes.
you will pros- um you will challenge yourself. You will challenge yourself. And it said anything that one perceive, it is achievable. And so
Mm.
believing in yourself, that that will certainly lift your moral and your standard with an open mind to
Mm.
achieve a higher level in life. So that will certainly, propel your open mindedness. And also information, reading, surrounding you, yourself with persons who have high esteem, high value of themselves. Um, Encouragement also, you know, um, positive encouragement, and that certainly will give you an open mind to achieve and to be successful.
Excellent. Excellent. I don't think you could have said it any better. And I appreciate that. And I hope everyone got that. Um, as you were speaking, I look into my very situation, and it sounds so similar. You know, I think about the circumstances, that the cards I was dealt. And I'm grateful that God changed my environment. And that was because my father thought I needed another space to grow up and think, as opposed to up on the hill where my family came from in St. Thomas, Fonthill. He said if I had another place to think and grow, maybe that would give him a better shot at life. But if I leave him there, he's gonna think and sound like them. He's going to have the same ambitions they do and give up at some point. Somebody's drawing on the screen, and I just don't understand what's happening. But it's fine. Um, Say that to say, today, it's encouraging how far God has brought me, and and I'm seeing that He He more than wants me to just be somewhat professionally successful for myself, our family, but to actually leave a particular legacy that says it can be done. To leave a legacy that says, with the help of others also, who aren't family members, you know, with information, as you said, by reading, by being exposed to people, information, spaces that allow you to think and act differently. Where I come from in St. Thomas, nobody was supposed to know me. You know, I look at situations and I don't normally testify of these things, um, particularly in church spaces, because when I used to do it home, I used to feel the energy of negative criticism and what we would deem in Jamaica bad mind. Um, what I understood it to be sin to even venture into the spaces I've ventured to. You know, um, leaving from St. Thomas Fonthill, having gone to Antigua to live, coming back to Jamaica now to study. And may I say, well, oh yes, this is it. And then to have moved from that to go on TVJ, you know, not in an altogether sing choir where my face gets lost in the back and you say, see John Matt there. But to actually be spoken to by the interviewer. Who are you? What are you doing on TVJ, on CVM, on Jamaica Reggae Month? These are a lot of national platforms, and it's because God has exposed me It's because God has brought me to different spaces. And it's because I got the opportunity to see things differently and to have an open mind. And so I'm I'm charging the parents with um with the challenge of ensuring that your children are exposed to as much information as possible. Sometimes we get fearful that they might pick the wrong one. But one thing you can say for yourself is that you did share everything that you could have. You did expose them to everything you could have, and that it came from you, and that they didn't get the information sweetened by someone else outside, but that you shared it with them first. How sin is, how salvation is, how other religions are, how this religion is. The good days of this, the bad days of this, the negatives of church, the positives of church, the negatives of school, the positives of school. Everything you can, you need to pour into them because they need as much information as possible to have strong positions moving into the future so that they can go to say that what I've been taught, I will not depart from it. You know, sometimes we have run it so one-sided that by the time somebody gives them sweetened information on the other side of the fence, they say, well, I didn't know this. Well, I didn't know this, so now I'm forced to think no. And it would seem that they have gone astray, but they're just now venturing into new information that was not exposed to them. And so we can correct that by doing differently even now. One more example. Jesus. And I think this was the most difficult. Jesus had but under 20 people devoted to him, believing in him. His disciples expressed open-mindedness as they accepted that their Messiah did not come to save them through violence and war, but through sacrifice and death. Remember, the Jews were looking for it to happen very differently. And a few people decide, say, boy, I don't understand the methods, you know. But you know, me give him a try. Let me give him a try. Because this is not how it's supposed to go. What do you mean you have to die? We are gonna fight, Peter said, to the death. We have to conquer this. We have to come from under this particular system. And he's basically saying, I'm gonna take you from under this system, but I have another method. And he did not have the entire population believing that that method was the method. Because remember, it's the disciples he revealed it to. That listen, in order to conquer death, hell, and the grave, I need to go there myself and get it done. And that means I am going to have to go to die in order to go to hell, in order to conquer the grave when I rise. I'm taking the keys from those people who have it, but I have to go into their camp to get it done. And so just about when he was about to die, he said, you know what, it is finished. We conquered. It is finished. Not when he was resurrected, but when he did what he came to do. You know? And so, to be honest, that is what I prepared for you. That is what God had given me to tell you. And we can talk about it if you have the time. If you have any more questions, if you have comments, things that you think I didn't share on that can be vital, you just pour it out right now. Don't let the people of God leave not understanding how they can move forward in being healthily open-minded, you know? Floor is open. The Zoom is open. And that's a wrap.
Uh,
Oh, Sean is coming. So sorry. Go ahead. I just
yeah.
saw him from sneaking in from the corner there. Go ahead.
I I typed it in the chat earlier, like how we basically interpret people's behavior and their response to things like what would say, whether verbally or non-verbally. It if you do have that open-minded, you can kind of get the wrong message. So open-mindedness, you have to. It's something you have to practice. Because you'll have to break out of your mindset into that mindset, and you have to adapt that trait and make it become a part of you. And eventually it becomes so natural and all that. So it's a very good trait to have in life and in the future. Mm.
Yeah, excellent, Sean. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for that. You know, in my experience, um, I think God shares some of the things He shares with me because He, he knows that I will have some level of resistance to it, to be honest with you. And when I have resistance to something, it means that I'm forced to dig up more information on it. You know, I'm forced to not only inquire of Him more and what His thoughts are, I'm forced to not only dig into the word and see what it has to say about it, here a little, there a little, context. You know, there are three questions I tend to ask myself, especially when I'm studying with people, and I'm bringing up, especially if I know I'm going to bring up certain things that they might find um, controversial, tedious, just might strike a nerve. I say there's three things we want to look at. I hope it's true when I say that. Who said it? Why was it said? Is it relevant? No. Who said it? Why was it said? And is it relevant? No. When we witness to unbelievers and maybe even persons of different faiths, those are the three questions that will always come up in the argument. Let me not say argument, the discussion. When a point is raised, the three things that will fight for precedence in the wealth and the knowledge and the understanding of whatever is being argued is who said it, why they said it, and is it relevant now? You know? And if we ask ourselves those questions, especially when studying and looking into the Bible, we'll come to some conclusions that we may not have before. They're not conclusions that will move you from your original belief or who you believe in, but it's what will help you become even more concrete in your faith. And it's what will help you to be more flexible in understanding exactly what God was saying in this particular context, in this particular scripture, you know, who He was saying it to, and we will understand if it's still valuable today. You know, if we're thinking about Leviticus, for instance, and we're thinking of the scriptures that speak about not blending two particular materials together, then we will all be at fault because we have a lot of spandex and polyester clothes. You know, and that has a lot to do with us not being able to afford full cotton this, full linen that, full this, full that. And so we buy what we can afford and we wear it. And if we were to be at fault, then I better we not do this whole thing. You know? So, you know, it really forces us to become more open-minded, to become more aware, to become more exposed. And nothing is wrong with being exposed. Christ came knowing everything that the scribes and Pharisees knew. And so He went where He needed to reach people. And when He did visit who He was supposed to be welcomed by, they did not receive Him. You know? So He left understanding our infirmities He left understanding what we faced, being rejected. You know, a king. He left understanding what it felt like to be thrown under the bus. He left understanding what it felt like to have really good friends say they don't know you when it mattered most. You know, and he was able to save us a better way. He's able to be a friend and a high priest. You know, that's it. That's where I'm at.
Thank you, Lord. One just one thing I want to say in regards to open-mindedness. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Approach every situation with a view of understanding person's point of view and understanding what is happening and not it with a view of judging. Because when you go in with a view to understand, it changes your perspective on everything because you try to find out why instead of trying to condemn. Why do you talk this way? Why do you walk this way? Why do you do this particular way or do that particular way? Why did you say that instead of this? So when you try to understand the reason behind it, then it opens your mind to listening to the person or listening to the situation to get an understanding of it instead of just going in with the skills or the big stick ready for beat and judge. So it helps to better deal with situations and it helps to open your mind because if you really want to understand the person or you're going there with that mindset, then you will leave the situation with a better understanding of who or what or why persons did what they did. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I approach the presentation from this perspective and from this angle because I knew that persons would have within them circumstances, situations, and experiences that would bring out all of these overhead topics, these overhead symptoms, as well as the benefits that we can get having taken on open-mindedness. And definitely when you mention approach, it really appealed to me because approach, let me tell you, I don't want to call it my ministry, you know. I thought the things that God has me do and the people he has me talk to and interact with, it's simply because they thought that they think that this brother just all right. Regardless of him say I'm a Christian. You know me a Christian probably after a conversation start. Because me seem just normal. You know? I think within the church space, the church presence, you know, I'm tend to be forced to look the way I need to look so that everybody is okay. I sound the way I need to sound so that everybody's fine. But outside of that, I appeal to more people. And I think they hear the gospel faster than if I get to bring them to church. And I hear their situations and I understand their circumstances. I understand where they are, why they are where they are, and what information they have so far as to why they're either an unbeliever, a believer that's in another church, a believer that doesn't see this as a commandment or doesn't see that as a commandment. And we can talk and we can discuss it and we can continue to teach to observe all things. You know, I think oftentimes when we stay in the box and high five about what we have going on good for us so far as a church in terms of what we obey and what we know and what we understand, it kind of closes us off to those who really need the information. Because what happens on the pulpit is that it's preached loudly in a way where they nobody come in to understand it because they're already condemned from inside. So it's not so much of as an invitation, but more if you're not going to fix up before you come in, stay out. But that's not a hospital. Eh? A hospital brings in the patients with the gunshot wounds. He doesn't tell them clean up and then come there and I'll work on it. But nonetheless, look like
If
Uncle
you don't
God.
mind, can I share a high and low with about open-minded Sir John Mark?
I think you can go right ahead.
Um, one of the high and low about open-minded. One must bear in mind that the low side of open-minded is that person will see you as different, and you will not be readily be accepted in all companies. If you're not careful, it will allow you to boast. It will allow you to think more highly than you are to think. And so one must bear in mind that one of the benefits also that you can gain from open-minded, it should teach you humility. It should teach you patience. It should teach you to be very cognizant of other person's feeling, and it should teach you to listen and be very appreciative of your opportunity that you have obtained from what you have learned from being open-minded. And so there's a high and low side of it, as I said. And so it is a matter of which side do you choose to go. Do you choose to be proud? Do you choose to think that you are more highly favored and more highly benefit than another person? And if you go that way, you will have a lot of resentment, and sometimes you blow your own trumpet too early. So you must be very balanced, and as you earlier said, what you do with the information that you gather, to use it wisely. And that is very good, and that is something that one should underline carefully and pay much attention to it. So that's the high and low of it. It can make you be rejected. It can let you have difficult in fitting in with other persons, because you will be seen as this proud, this person who think that is more than us. But on the other side, it should teach you humility, it should teach you patience, it should teach you humbleness, and it should teach you to be cognizant of another person's feeling, and also to listen. One of the main things, to listen to other person. Doesn't matter what they're saying. Everybody have something to contribute. It doesn't matter how simple it is or how much you might think that it is not significant. Everybody has something to contribute it to. So as again, you can choose which side of the benefit of open-minded that you want to walk in. Yes, sir, that's my contribution to the benefit of open-minded.
Much appreciated, and thank you for sharing that. I'm thankful that we didn't even leave without understanding that dynamic there. everything comes with certain balances. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to 1,000 other things at the same time, vice versa. Yeah. I now hand over back to the host, the hostess with the mostess. So, close this out.
Hello, everybody. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Thank you all for coming out to the series of presentations. Oh, sorry. Well done, Brother John Mark. Thanks for taking the time to do this presentation. Well put together and well presented. Was a wonderful presentation. So let me go back to what I was saying. Thank you all for coming out to the series of presentations. I hope that they have taught us something. I hope that we will leave um, being better able to interact with each other, and we have all learned something from each of these presentations. And and we are more better suited and geared towards interaction and being able to deal with each other and all those things. This is the end of our series of presentation from the youth department. It was nice to have you all. When the next set is put together, it will be announced, and I hope to see the same level of participation and even better from all of y'all. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. I have a suggestion to make, but I will call you privately for the next presentation, sir.
Okay.
Bless up.
Blessed. Well done, Brother John Mark. Well done, well done.
Thank you, much appreciated, man.
Well done, sir. Well done, well done, well done.